And then we got that cool little transition.
Ooh, whimsical.
Pretty
whimsical.
Yeah.
I think that's what I heard that it was.
Yes, and we tried to do a star. Gothix said it looked a little too terrible, so we decided not to go with it because it was a little too on the feminine side. So,
because
anyway,
sometimes even the show leaders need to be told you're so out of pocket.
Dude, you try to do stuff, you try to be inventive, and most of the time it kind of blows up in your face until you kind of get it right. I think it feels, But welcome on in, everybody. Good morning, good Saturday morning. What's up, Junior Disciple? Good to see you. You did catch the beginning of the stream. Congratulations, sir.
That never happens.
Yes. Can we get let's see. I don't know. We'll get this right here. A little wow thing for you. There you go. Congratulations. Come on in. But good morning. If you guys are not familiar with our special guest today, hopefully you guys will, and hopefully you guys will go and throw her a follow and check her out. She makes fantastic content. I became aware of Gothix back in the Twitch days, probably about 3 or 4 years ago, I think, like right around 2020 or so. When I first noticed you on Twitch, you started you came in and it's like you kind of exploded. And why don't you introduce yourself, tell viewers who you are and what you do.
Yeah, well, thanks for having me on, guys. My name is Vanessa. As my lovely friend here said, I started on Twitch as a gaming streamer and doing weird improv comedy stuff. It was a good time. And then eventually I got canceled and then moved into political commentary by
as one does.
Yeah. I feel like you have to get canceled to know
the
where
natural evolution of content creators. It's we start off doing something completely pedestrian and non-offensive at all. Somehow we get canceled and now we have a platform.
Exactly. You can't please everyone. So, but yeah, that's pretty much my origin story.
Yeah, and it was really cool to see, because I remember when I first saw you come on, I mean, you were full of high energy, you were hitting it hard, and I was like, who the heck is this? Because I kept seeing your face everywhere. Tell us about those early days. How did you kind of handle all that? I mean, was it kind of surprising to you? Was it not surprising to you?
Not surprising. I mean, the cancellation was surprising to me.
Yeah, for
what got you canceled?
So stupid. So remember when the live action Little Mermaid movie came out? Okay. When they announced that it was going to be a black actress, I was like, what the hell? So I went on Twitter and everyone was calling each other racist if they had an issue with it. Yeah. And I'm like, well, I like the white Little Mermaid. I'm not racist. So I went on Twitter. I was like, can we just stop calling people racist for this? And that was too much. That was how dare you? You must hate black women.
Do you know Lady Desiree?
Yes.
The pianist. She's one of the sweetest creators I've ever had a chance to meet IRL. We've done some work together in the last couple months, and she was telling me a story, same exact thing. So Lady Desiree is one of the most unoffensive people I've ever met in my life. She's just petite and pristine and super put together, and let's go play a really orchestral arrangement of The Lost Woods by Zelda. I think she actually got, was it Halo or was it Destiny that I think it was Destiny. She did a Destiny theme, and Bungie brought her out to a con and had her featured on the main, it was a whole thing. And so she's getting all these followers, thousands of followers, hundreds of thousands of followers, and some Twitter account made a statement that was generally you shouldn't force your LGBTQ ideals on children. It was something really difficult to argue with. And all she did was follow the page. She didn't comment. She didn't do anything. And someone screenshot that she was following this page, and she got canceled everywhere. So welcome to the club.
Yeah. Hey, you know what? I'd rather have it this way than trying to be fake and appeal to everyone, because that's impossible anyway.
Yep.
Yeah. And it's been really cool, because I remember as you started kind of coming out with different viewpoints against kind of the grain of what a lot of people, especially on the left, kind of believed. Black Lives Matter, all that other kind of stuff. Just was praying for you, and it's been really cool to see. And I know we don't talk much about, religion here on the show, though it's very important to who we are, I think, as content creators and as human beings too, as well. That, God kind of took all of that craziness and kind of propelled you in a way that it's just been unstoppable. It just makes me think of where it says in the book of Revelation that Jesus opens doors that no man can close, and he closes doors no man can open. Can you take us a little bit through like during those times as basically the community started to kind of turn on you and kind of how you kind of, came to faith and how that's kind of shaped who you are today?
Yeah.
Long
So,
question, I know.
yeah, no, it's good. So, like for context, in case no one picked up on that, I am a Christian, but when I was a streamer on Twitch, I was not. I was more like agnostic,
Okay.
and majority of my audience, I would say, I mean, from what I hear, the people that have followed me and have sort of stuck around since my cancellation have been people of faith, and I don't think that is by chance. I think there's something to that. Whereas a lot of the people that turned on me were people that didn't have a relationship with Christ, and they were obsessed with like the world, and they were following trends. And a lot of people on the left tend to do that. They just latch on to whatever cultural trends there are. And so when people started turning on me, no one wanted to have a conversation. Nobody cared about context. Nobody wanted to hear my full side of the story. It was just like, you have betrayed our community, this mob of morals and values that just, you just have to accept without questioning.
Turned on the horde. How dare you?
Yeah, exactly. And so they ostracized me. And in retrospect, that was definitely God pulling me out of that environment to get my attention, because back then I was so like driven by the thought of like being a top Twitch streamer.
Yeah.
I wanted all the sponsors. Because I was getting brand deals. I was traveling a lot. I was collaborating with a lot of other creators, and it was like, go, 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 go. And so why would I stop for a second to like look at things that are not directly in front of me, So he had to pull me out of that situation to get my attention.
Yeah.
And I'm so grateful for it, because in the process of me trying to pick up the pieces, I found God in that journey, because I was so, like I said, I was so driven by just being a top streamer, because I'm a very competitive person.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I didn't realize, though, that I was literally building my worldview on sand, because when I lost that platform, I lost that audience. Like I got really depressed
You like lost
for a
who
while.
you are. Yeah, it's
I'm
like,
like,
your
this
sense
is
of
my identity.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that for all of us as content creators, even though we haven't maybe been through something along those lines, there's always this hardcore like mental kind of struggle that we all have. Am I good enough? Am putting out a good enough show? I mean, because for like myself, like of course I'm an older gentleman. I'll be 50 here pretty soon. Don't judge me. Nobody.
You don't look 50.
Well, thank you. I appreciate.
You don't look
that.
a day over 15.
15, yeah. I don't know about that.
Well, buddy.
Dude, I would destroy my life if I was 15 years old with a full beard like this, But anyway, that's another story. With your whole thing, how has your mental health kind of been? Has it been better? I mean, what have you kind of used to kind of help keep you grounded?
Yeah. So this is definitely, it's a learning process for me still. Yeah. As far as like my mental health, it's a million times better than what it used to be. Absolutely. But I do find these spurts of just like frustration. And sometimes I have the temptation to dwell on something that are out of my control, because I get just very frustrated with me being on the commentary, culture war side of content creation now. I think sometimes there's this temptation to get frustrated because people aren't listening.
Yeah.
and I'm at the place now where I make the type of content that I feel compelled to make. I don't try to chase viewers or numbers or because that's all fleeting anyway. So when I make a video, I do it with the intention of waking people up to the reality of like the world that we're in.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And when people they don't grasp what I'm trying to do, they sort of say, oh, you're just grifting, you're just doing things just for money or whatever like that. It's like, it's not clicking. I get very frustrated with stuff like that. So in other words, my mental health is good, but it's like this tug of war of just, I have to keep going back to Christ. Otherwise I will go off a cliff if I don't.
You said something a minute ago about social media that I think is really important for people to understand. And what sparked to me was social media for so many creators and users even is not a listening platform across the board. It's like it's a talking platform. Like people don't go to social media necessarily to learn. They go to social media to teach other people, but no one's listening. Everyone's like shoving their opinion out, and then you get this cesspool of I'm right versus I'm not right, and then that's where like that hive mind starts to take over, because the people that agree with each other start to like build up and fester, and like this online tumor forms of just like
that's
like,
so true
of hive mind. I mean, you just said that you're at the forefront of culture war and kind of what you're doing. So like, as those hive minds and as those cesspools kind of like, how do you combat that in a way that stays positive? Because that's like an easy trap, I think, to get frustrated.
Yeah, I think for me, I have to keep reminding myself what is the goal. So like prior to me being Christian, when I had just gotten, I guess, red pilled, my goal was different. My goal was like, I wanted to own the left. Like, you guys mess with me and you're gonna get it. And that's not really a beneficial goal, because you're just fighting fire with fire. Everyone loses, doesn't work. So with me now, it's like I can be a little bit abrasive. I can be very in your face. I don't like beating around the bush. That's just my personality. But even so, there has to be that balance of like, what is the overarching goal? The goal is to send the gospel out into the rest of the world, because I believe that's what's going to fix everything. You know, at the core of this culture stuff, it's a worldview battle. And so if the goal is for me to promote that worldview, I have to remember that, instead of like, okay, is this going to get me clicks? Am I going to like own them? You know, because that doesn't really do anything.
Yeah, I think that's a good point to make too, because, you know, like I started doing this kind of like what you're doing now. I started doing that originally back in like 2008, 2009, right about the time Obama came into office and Obamacare and all that other kind of crap that was going on. And it was so frustrating to me to talk about these things, have audio clips, videos, all that stuff, even though technically it was just radio. So I have a face for radio.
Yep.
And it's like, you know, like you just put this out there, it's like, this is really important. And it's like crickets. It's like, oh my gosh. And so I think there's also the, you know, one of the things that we need to learn and that we need to grasp, especially if we're, you know, believers and we're out there also preaching the gospel or sharing Christ with people. Here you go, bud. Give me 1 second, you guys.
You're fine. While he's doing that, I'm a movie nerd, Gothix, so I apologize that I will be quoting movies at you. But
that's okay.
Zack Snyder's Man of Steel, General Zod is explaining how he got free from the Phantom Zone, and he says that the vehicle of their damnation became the vehicle of their salvation. Do you feel like that was kind of a situation with you? Like the fact that they turned on you on this specific topic, that cancellation, did that springboard you? Did that launch you? Do you feel like that into the next level? Do you feel like you had to overcome that? Like, talk to me about that specific moment, because you said you had a lot of you had brand deals happening. You had your gaming content, your comedy content, and all that kind of stuff was happening. But then a group that you felt like you identified with turned on you. Did that launch you, or did you have to overcome that?
Yeah, well, it was both. At first, it was like I sort of like caved into myself, because like it wasn't just like the people that supported me; it was friends too that just stopped talking to me. Like, you know, people that I knew. Little Mermaid. Over a fictional fish. It's just wild to think about it. So at first it was like, I just sort of caved into myself. I had this period where I'm like, maybe I am wrong. Maybe I'm the crazy one. Because at the time I believed, okay, if everyone here is parroting the same thing, maybe there's something wrong with my perception of this thing. And no, I've realized that consensus does not equal righteousness. It's not the same thing. And then I got to a point when I started to talk to other people who so happened to be believers as well, I started to realize, okay, no, there is such a thing as objective truth, and some people just don't like the truth. And so what am I going to do now? Am I going to sit in this state of just like, you know, aimlessly walking around, or am I going to get up and move forward? And so that's what happened, is that at first it was hopelessness, and then it was a little bit of anger, but not really knowing how to direct that anger. And then I got to where I am now. So Yeah, it was definitely a process. I don't know if I answered that question.
Yeah, well, I guess so. The reason I'm asking the question that way is because we've a lot of creators that are going to be watching this show, and this show is absolutely like designed to go to creators. There are people right now that are watching this show and they're going live to 0 to 2 viewers, and they're at least one of, if not two of the viewers. There are people that are watching the show that are trying to find what their niches or their platform or their agenda or whatever it is. And so for you, that was an established gaming creator that had that platform, that had the brand deals, you were traveling to cons, you're doing all the things, you're living the dream, right? Like you're living like the content creator dream. And then you have this attack that comes at you. Was it a hard left turn away from gaming and into what you do now? Was there a transition? And when you made the switch, what was it like? Okay, I'm rebuilding, I'm going live to nobody, or did I have enough of a remaining support structure that I just blended? Does my question make sense? Like,
Yeah. No, it definitely makes sense. So it was a slow progress. So like I said, when I first got canceled, I took some time off because I was like, I don't know what to do with all this anger and hostility.
Yeah.
And then I said, okay, well, this is how I make a living. This is still what I do for a living.
Yeah.
And so I was like, I have to go back online, but I can't consciously start making video games because every time I would stream video games, the same accusers would go into my chat and try to just troll me in the chat. So it wasn't even
racist.
It wasn't even enjoyable at that point. So I was like, okay, fine. They're saying these things because of that one comment. So I'm going to lean into it a little bit more and have conversations about controversial topics. So I would have literally invite people to have Discord calls so we can talk it out. So it wasn't explicitly me doing any political culture war content. It was let's just talk. Because that seems like the only thing I can do. And then gradually people started to like that. But then someone, either me or maybe one of my guests, would say something on the stream that would offend the audience. And once again, that cycle would start up of just outrage. And so eventually I said, you know what? I'm going to go all in and I'm going to make a video about a particular topic on YouTube. And I'm just going to send it out into the ether. That way there's no deleting the stream. There's no, it's just out there.
There it is.
Yeah, that's it. And that is when, everyone was like, okay, she's gone off the deep end.
Yeah. She got red pilled everybody. She got red pilled
everyone. Yeah. And then from there, I just kept putting out content and just ignoring all of the criticisms from people. And it took about maybe a year or so before everything died down. Like this was their full-time job, just to keep harassing me, to call me racist and whatever. But yeah, it was a slow progress, I would say.
Did that affect your numbers at all in your live stream? I mean, because content creators, there's a difference in your live stream. Live streaming is more what you do to interact with your community. And if you're smart, it's how you farm clips. So you can double work instead of having to go live to nobody. You can use that. So you've got that aspect of it. And then you've also got the long form. You're putting brand new content out into YouTube. Was that a new channel? Was it your existing channel? Can we go back through? I mean, your YouTube, you've got, for those of you guys that don't know Gothix, she's got about 60,000 people on X, or I call it Twitter still, 340 or so, 350 on YouTube. Is that right? 350,000?
Yeah,
something along those lines. So she's got a massive following. Do you feel like this negatively impacted that for a time? Did you see your numbers dip? Did people leave? Was it just people being added? And I'm asking this again on behalf of creators who are sitting there and saying, and I'll be honest with you, I'm one of them right now. I feel like, I've had this conversation with Tex, gaming is a part of what I do, but I don't see for me as a 40-year-old middle-aged chubby white guy that I'm the market for gaming creators. I'm just saying, I'm just not.
Trust me, I'm the same way right now.
I suck at Call of Duty. I'm not good at the games, good enough at the games for people to watch me just to see how good of a player I am. So I have to be Tim the Tap Man. I have to be entertaining. I have to whatever, but I'm still, that's not my vein. And so as my content evolves, it's evolving it's in the gaming community. There's some other topics. There's things like this that we do. But there are creators like me that are saying hey, I'm hitting this barrier. It's not working here. Maybe I want to do politics. Maybe I want to do podcasting. Maybe I want to do cultural commentary. Maybe I want to do religious commentary. Maybe I want to stream music. There's all these questions, but the first thing that comes up is yeah, but everyone thinks that I'm this mold. Even if I only have 5 followers, everyone expects me to be this, and we can make that mountain hold us back.
Yeah.
The reason I asked the question is how did you push through it, and what were the hurdles that you saw immediately
Yeah, well, first of all, that is a trap that a lot of people, and I fell into that obviously when I got canceled because I had fit into this mold and my audience was expecting a certain type of content from me.
Do you remember that audience size at that time? I don't mean to cut you off, but like,
yeah. So on Twitch, and this goes into the other question you mentioned about numbers. So on Twitch, I had about 23,000 followers
at the time of your cancellation.
At the time of my cancellation. Okay. And then as I started speaking up a little bit more, I think I went down to 20,000. So I lost about 3,000. I haven't looked at the numbers recently, honestly.
Yeah, but that's fine. We're ballparking.
Yeah. And but then when I said I decided to commit to that one video and then I started putting out videos on YouTube. I had a YouTube for years, but I never really uploaded anything on it.
Yeah.
And so the number that you see now was literally the result of me pushing and just making videos despite all the other people, because I had maybe 2,000 followers when I had my first video. So everything you saw from, and I haven't been uploading on YouTube very long, by the way, since like 2020, I think that's where all that numbers came from. But as far as like trying to find your niche and not fall into like this trap of trying to appease your audience, you got to do what you love doing. Even if it's something that you're unaware of how receptive the audience is going to be. I'm a believer that if you build it, they will come, but you have to enjoy what you're doing at the same time.
Yeah.
Is if you go into it saying, okay, I got to make money off of this thing, it's going to come off as desperate. Yeah. I think your audience can pick up on the fact that, are you just making this content just because you need money? Instead of you just making the content that you are passionate about, that you enjoy doing, that you put your heart and soul into. I think people love that authenticity more than you just, I like to call it like a tap dancing monkey.
Yeah. Very much so.
Yeah, even in the gaming community, though, I mean, like, there's so many creators, and they'll say it publicly. Like, I've had people DM me, I've had people call me, I've had people text me, but they're also saying this on their social media pages. Like, for example, they're like, I freaking hate Call of Duty. I'm so tired of Call of Duty. But if I don't make Call of Duty content, people won't come to me because that's what they expect me to do. So now I have to play this content that it's not that I'm bored of it. I've gotten to the place that I absolutely hate it. And if I don't do it, the numbers won't come. A very good friend of mine 2 nights ago, we had a phone call. He's rebuilding he's had some very incredible success on TikTok. Phenomenal success. I mean, many videos at 500K, 300K, 100K. He's got 30 or 40,000 followers. So he was growing it. And against all odds, he grew up making cyberpunk content, which was a dead game when he did it. But basically, like, what he was doing is like he was teaching people, like, hey, here's an exclusive weapon. Here's how you find it. Here's what you have to do to trigger. Like, he was almost like what was a Game Informer that would like kind of teach you how to do like the magazine that he was doing that video form, and it exploded. And everything he ever does about cyberpunk goes crazy. And now there's a lot of movement behind this Arc Raiders game, and he's making Arc Raiders content, and he's gone from 100,000 view videos to 1,500 view videos. And he made the comment, and he was like, I'm concerned that if I'm only a cyberpunk creator, am I even a creator?
Yeah. I think that's actually a very valid kind of viewpoint to have, because like when I started, I did Destiny, you know, that's what we did. We grew very quickly on YouTube, but then of course we got boxed in when we switched over to PUBG. Boom, basically we lost like over half of our audience. Like no one wanted to come and watch it because they're so used to Destiny. Do you find it easier, Gothix, to do your commentary now as compared to what you were doing before?
Yes and no. Because, and listen, I have the same, I guess, problem with views as well. Like, it's hard to get before when I first started, I was easily 200,000 every single video.
Like without trying, you're just sending it and there it is.
Yep.
Exactly. But also you have to consider what the time was. I started doing these videos around 2020. You had BLM, you had COVID, you had like a lot of stuff going on at the time.
Yeah, cities are literally burning over these topics.
And so it was easy for those types of videos to gain traction. So now it's like we have different things coming up. But so the market has shifted a little bit. But as far as like videos and stuff like that, like with the numbers, yeah, I mean, I think people just have to be comfortable with the idea that your audience is going to be a revolving door.
Yeah.
And so I think it's healthy for you to evolve as a content creator, but you have to be okay with knowing that, yeah, your views might take a hit. Now, if you're doing this as your full-time job and you're worried about like your income, okay, I guess that's a different story, but you got to save some money. You got to, because content creation in general, it's a very like finicky source of income. You don't know what that's going to look like on your month to month. So I would just encourage anyone just to do what you're passionate about, and you'd be surprised. My audience, I vented to my audience about, and I know there's a few in the chat right now. I vented to them about like, I just don't feel like commenting on every single thing that comes out of the news cycle. I am not a news reporter. I could easily make reaction videos and make lots of money, but I'm not necessarily interested in reacting to every single thing. And people will literally tell me they just want to see me because they like my personality. They like our conversations that we have when we're interacting in chat. So I think people also need to come to terms that your audience might just be there for you and not necessarily for your gameplay. Now, if that's a reflection of like the numbers and you think otherwise, okay, but I would still push through it because more people are going to come in. Like I said, it's a revolving door.
Yeah. It's funny because someone in chat just said probably 5 minutes ago, Biscuit said, just followed Miss Gothix and Honeybun is fixing to make a Rumble account just to do the same. It took about 30 seconds for you to make an impression on her. So it's exactly what you just said. Like that personality, people are coming to see you and maybe your takes on the things you talk about, but not necessarily they're not coming for the things that you're talking about. However, on the flip side of it, I think there are events that happen that when people know you're going to be aligned with those events, they're like, I can't wait for Gothix to go live again because I need to know what she's going to say. How do you position yourself as that voice? How do you position yourself as the person that speaks on behalf of these things?
That's a weird question because I don't even know half the time. To be honest, I am such a dysfunctional content creator. Back when I was exclusively on Twitch, I had structure. I'm like, okay, I'm streaming at this time. I'm going to, stream for this amount of hours. And now I just stream whenever the heck I feel like it. But one thing that has at least helped me is when I do my live streams, I sort of just ask my audience, what do you guys want to talk about? What's the topic today? Because I just don't want to get into this habit of saying I'm going to talk about X, Y, and Z because then people expect me to comment on everything. I'll give you an example. Are you familiar with Tom McDonald?
I'm not.
Okay.
I'm sure the Vaping is, but I'm not.
Okay, he's a rapper, and he's put out a lot of based songs about culture war and stuff. So when I started making videos, I was reacting to his music videos, and this guy's putting out 2 songs every week. Like it's something outrageous.
So you had content.
Yeah. Well, I had content, right? But then after a while, I was like, okay, you know what? I don't feel like reacting to any of his videos. But then I had an influx of audience members saying, have you reacted to the new song that came out? I'm like, that is not me.
Yeah.
I offer other things than just reacting to this one guy.
Yeah. So, that's so funny. So then how did, with all of your commentary and stuff, how did you kind of get, and because I want to show a clip here, if you guys do not know, there is a documentary of Gothix and her kind of journey through this whole entire process. How did all that and you kind of getting your foot and trying to figure out, where you stand now, how did that kind of evolve into, I mean, my gosh, you're doing stuff with like Walk Away. I mean, you've been hosting debates. You've been part of debates. How did that kind of morph from that into everything else that you've been doing?
Well, yeah, I think my relentless pursuit of truth eventually led me on that path. I got so hungry for like reality and truth that I'm like, I'm just going to keep pushing forward, and wherever I go, that's the thing. I've always been the type of person where I'm very open-minded and I sort of just like go with the flow. And so that's brought me to a lot of interesting places over the years. Now, the tricky thing is, and I think I touched on this before we started streaming, is I'm not necessarily, like, I wouldn't call myself a political content creator, because I have other things. I'm a very creative person. I'm artistic. I love gaming. I love things that are beyond just the culture war stuff. But from my perspective, once you get into like the political commentary, it's very difficult to get out because people only perceive you in a particular way.
Especially on Rumble.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, absolutely. So, that's, going into all the, working with Walkaway and Blexit and all that, really easy. Getting out of it and diversifying my content in the reverse is more difficult.
Yeah, I mean, I couldn't imagine like people that are going to Candace Owens to see her talk about whatever she's talking about, tuning in for her Mario Kart party night on Friday night.
I mean, that was hilarious to watch.
That'd be great. Yeah, that'd be awesome. It's so funny that comes up because like that has been a huge topic of conversation within our community, specifically with some of the new creators that have come to Rumble. Like I was just either yesterday. It was yesterday, Friday. What day is it? Saturday. So it must have been yesterday. Yeah. I was talking to Soltech in his stream. Soltech just came over. He's been very successful on Twitch and Kick and other places. He's come over to Rumble and building his community over here. And he just said, he's like, man, I don't understand Rumble. It keeps saying that it wants to be a gaming platform too, but it is everything is still so geared towards politics. Like, I don't know how I can, as a creator, how can I overcome that? And he's like, even if you go to the front page in the window, it's some sort of commentary podcast or political podcast. So like, why don't they have a gaming front page window versus just like gaming features that are down on the bottom? And like, I'm not here to critique Rumble. That's not what I'm doing. I'm just saying like the reality of it is the people that are using this platform as a main platform, it is an uphill battle. We're very young in the gaming content over here. There are a few people I could think of, maybe Mally Mouse, who can do both. Like she's totally political 1 minute and then like totally Nintendo the next minute, and then she's totally like Disney, and then she's like tearing Disney apart. Like somehow she's positioned herself to be on all sides. That's a challenge.
It is.
Is that the goal for you? You know what I mean? Like,
yeah. I think that is the goal, and that's sort of like what I've started doing, which is sort of goes back to my point about not being afraid to put out content if your audience isn't receptive to it. Because if I think back to my Twitch days, I used to have these rules in my chat where I said, don't talk about politics and don't talk about religion.
That is the Twitch rule of freaking thumb. It is like, people call I'm joking about my cult leader status. Dude, Twitch is a cult leader in that
100%.
Like,
Yes.
because no one actually says that. But every creator on Twitch is like, don't talk about politics, don't talk about religion. Like, don't do either way. Don't wear a cross on your shirt. You can wear a cross necklace because that's fashionable, but don't wear Jesus saves. Do not do that. I mean, I got in trouble early in my career on Twitch and Kick both because someone came into a stream and was like, hey, I'm having a crappy day. And I'm like, oh, person X, I'm sorry to hear that. What's going on? They're like, oh, my mom's been in the hospital all day and it looks pretty bad. And all I said was, oh man, that sucks. I'll pray for your mom. That's it. That's all I said. I had Twitch staff, Kick staff, everyone in my DM sending me email. You cannot say that. You cannot do that. Like, it was a mess, a mess. And I reached out to one of them. I was like, hey, I don't really understand like why this is a problem. I didn't cram Jesus down their throat. And they're like, well, what you don't understand, this person is very offended. They've reached out to us. They're a member of the trans community. And that's the most offensive thing. That's the most offensive thing you can say. And I remember that day being like, I don't think I can be a gaming content creator because like, I don't consider myself an evangelistic creator. I mean, I've got very firm, I'm a pastor by trade. I am very involved in ministry. I've been in full-time ministry over 20 years. This is a different outlet for me. So I don't necessarily do this. Like, there's some people that do this as ministry. That's not what I'm doing. This is a creative outlet for me. But I also don't want to hide it, and I don't want to like suppress who I am. That's why Rumble has been great for me. But like that cult mentality, because they don't send you a memo that says don't say this, but every creator will tell you, don't talk about politics, don't talk about religion. Yeah.
Well, in hindsight, when I had those rules, it was a detriment to me. And I think when people have those rules, you're setting the standard that you can't deviate from this sort of template that a gaming streamer is. So I want to get to a place where I am a creative streamer with unfiltered opinions and worldviews about everything, as opposed to I am a political streamer, and then that sort of like you sort of understand what you're getting, because I take big issue with how left-leaning progressive the gaming industry is, or creative
100%.
industries in general. For some reason, we have set the standard that is the standard.
Yeah.
And they don't have monopoly over that industry. And I'm not willing to give it up to one political ideology, you know? And so this is why I say, my audience, let's talk about everything, okay? Just don't get offended. If you get offended, ask yourself why you're offended and let's talk about it, as opposed to me shying away from certain topics. That's initially what got me into trouble in the first place, is because people were looking at me like, wait, you think this way? That's
How
how
dare
you
you?
feel? You know?
How dare you have your own thought? Can we guys, everyone, this is a question for, can we get back to the place where disagreement doesn't mean like enemy?
Dude,
Yeah.
I wish that would be great.
I mean, like,
it would be great.
Why is disagreement a dirty word anymore? Like, I can totally like, you can be, I mean, let's strip it down. Like, I hate the fact that I have to be a Redskins fan. I'm a Redskins fan. You can be a Cowboy fan. That doesn't mean that we have to hate each other. Like I can like Oreos and you can like Nutter Butters. Who cares? Like, and some of this stuff, like, even politically, people are going over, like, they're losing their mind because of Jennifer, the actress, the interview that Jennifer, the chick that's Mystique. Why can't I think of her name right now?
Lawrence? No.
Yeah, Jennifer Lawrence, right? Is it Jennifer Lawrence? She was in the space movie with Chris Pratt. I am failing right now. I think Jennifer Lawrence.
I think
she did an interview this week, and basically in the interview they said to her, hey, you were really politically motivated and were the forefront of celebrities, like, talking about politics. And basically what they're saying was, like, you fought Trump during Trump's first tenure and you've not said a word during Trump 2.0. Like, what's going on? And she said, I learned that, number one, we all should have learned in this last election that no matter the money, no matter the celebrity endorsement, we don't actually have a voice in politics. People don't care what we have to say.
Exactly.
And then she said, and number two, as a professional artist, when I continue to voice these things, all I'm doing is encouraging people to not pay me, basically. Like, I'm encouraging people to not come see the content that I'm making, because I'm being divisive, and I'm happy to be divisive, but I've learned that it doesn't actually matter. It's not influencing the political climate the way that I want it to, and all it's doing is it's hurting me. So it's better for me to just stop. Now, a lot of people disagree with, like, the way that she got there, but she's right. Like 100%. Like, I'm not paying to go see a movie for you to do anything other than be Batman. Go be Batman. I don't care about the rest of it. And as an American, you have the ability to totally disagree with me. But what you don't have the right to do is to use your platform to bash me, push me down, and make me feel like I'm an idiot because I don't agree with you.
Yeah. And also, to add to that, I think there's a way of voicing your opinion without alienating half of the population as well.
Yep.
You know, if you're an actress in a movie and you do the movie well, and you know, that's one thing. But if on the other hand, you're basically telling half of your fans not to go watch the movie because you think that they're Nazis, well, that's a different story. That's kind of difficult for me to say. I can consciously give you my money knowing that you feel that way about me. But I think it's good for people in all industries to have an opinion, because that's the other thing too. Like, I've had people tell me, like, well, why should I listen to you? You're just a content creator. You just make money. So why is your opinion valid? It's like, okay, so who are you going to listen to? Who, you know, you're just going to listen to, you know, trademark the science, just the science, or just the media? Well, that's not really wise. I think everyone's entitled to an opinion. You just gotta say it in a good way. I think, you know, don't be so alienating.
Yeah, I think there's kind of I think, to go back to your point, Ray, one of the reasons why that we can't have sometimes reasonable and articulate conversations is because they're not taught to think critically. You know, when you're in school and you're dealing with all that kind of stuff, they bake the answer into the question. Like, for example, like the evolutionary, you know, worldview. Is it true? Is it not? Right? So whenever they ask you a question about evolution, they automatically assume that the answer to the question, or the answer into the question. So you can't think critically. And they tell you, congratulations, you thought critically. It's like, no, that's not how it works. You know, a real good kind of critical thinking question would be, is evolution true? Yes or no? Why or why not? That's critical thinking. And so I think for a lot of people, they kind of turn that off, and then they kind of look to people with titles as they're better than they are, and therefore, since they've been to school, they know more than I do. And it's very tough to kind of get over that mindset, to be like, look, let's sit down, let's have a conversation, and let's, like, hammer this out. Let's look at the, you know, we can reason together without having to be enemies, you know. And so, you know, thinking on that, I mean, how has YouTube kind of treated you, because I know you're on YouTube primarily. You know I will come over to Rumble, and I'll be the lone voice in her chat sometimes and be like, look at me. She's like, hey, I see you over there, baby. But how has YouTube, the platform itself, kind of treated you as a creator and treated you based on your worldview?
I don't necessarily, I don't really have an opinion on YouTube itself. Like, I actually had a relationship with people that worked at Twitch. As far as YouTube, I'm just another cog in the wheel. I don't even think they give me any mind. You know, it's, yeah, I really have no comment lately. I maybe from the monetizing aspect, it's been kind of difficult because I think they've been switching their like payment structure around. I guess advertisers aren't putting a lot of money into long form videos, which is primarily what I do. But as far as like just the type of content that I do, I would say maybe the frustrating thing is I started recently getting into firearms, and I noticed that whenever I talk about pew-pews, YouTube is like, nope, can't do that.
Yeah, they're not a fan of it. They're not a fan of it.
No. So, but other than that, it's just kind of there. It exists. I can't really compare it to anything because, like I said, I got treated like trash on Twitch. So, you know, it is what it is. I know if I moved exclusively to Rumble, I wouldn't have many issues with the platform itself, except my audience doesn't want to go to Rumble yet.
Yeah, I mean that's another thing that we keep talking about. It's come up over and over again. It happened to me from two different angles within the last month. I had a content creator who I've got a great relationship with that I've been friends with for 5 or 6 years, and I saw a different creator that was live on Twitch. And I honestly, I hadn't even been on Twitch in probably over a year. I hadn't even opened my app. Like it's been so long that my phone had the icon on my screen, but I had to re-download it because it hadn't been, you know, even talking about, like, you had to, like, I tried to open it and it was like, hold on, it's downloading. And so I went in his stream, and then I saw that she was live, and I went to her stream, and I was just like, oh, hey, so-and-so, good to see you. In response, she was like, oh, Ray, like, man, we thought you were dead. Like, where have you been? And I was like, what are you talking about? Like, you still follow me on Twitter. Like, I'm making more content now than I've ever made. Like, by 5 or 10 times more. I'm live way more consistently. I'm putting way more content out. And her initial response was, yeah, but you're on that racist website. No one wants to go there. And I was like, and honestly, like, it didn't offend me. It also, I want to say it shook me. It didn't shake me, but it did make me sit back and go, okay, like, there's still a narrative that's got to shift here.
Yeah. And I think, I mean, dude, I've been fighting that narrative for like 2.5 years since I came over here to the gaming. And of course, you know, as much as I love being on Rumble, and if Rumble staff happens to be hanging out right now, please give us the option to customize the homepage. If you guys did that, it would explode the platform. Something like Odyssey or something like that, you know?
Yeah.
I just really wish they would do that. And it's, you know, it's sad, Ray, because like I remember even when you and I met, you know, Ray came and we had a private conversation. He's like, you know, is Rumble right for me? You know, all this other kind of stuff. I'm like, yeah, go into the community, hang out. You know, Soul Tech's got to do the same thing. I appreciate Soul if you're watching. Love talking to the guy. But you just got to make yourself available and talk to the community so they know who you are. And then people will come over. And then hopefully we can kind of break that monopoly and that thought process of what Rumble's really all about.
Yeah. I have so many ideas. Like, if they were just to sit down and like take advice from people who have been within gaming streaming, like, there's one thing I love about Twitch is their interface. Okay, that's one thing that they have going for them. And obviously you don't want to market yourself as exclusively as a gaming platform. I'm talking to Rumble here.
Yeah, because they got to know where their bread's buttered. I mean, we have to be honest about that. Like,
I get that, but I think there's also a middle ground. Like, there's lots of like culture commentators that maybe they do talk about politics, but maybe they're more geared towards culture. And I think that might be a good middle ground for like the main page, as opposed to just like MAGA. Well, yeah, if people already perceive MAGA to be racist and that's all that's on the front page, I can kind of see what they're getting at.
I mean, I think the thing that's sad to me, and maybe someone can educate me, because I'm not a political commentary person. It's I mean, honestly, most of my commentary ends up being like sports and gaming and entertainment, and like, maybe that's worthless. I don't care. Like, it's just what I do. You know what I mean? But like, it's my understanding based off conversations I have had at Rumble. It's like, when we say free speech, we mean free speech. We do not mean MAGA. We do not mean right wing. We do not mean Christian. We mean free speech. If you are a hardcore leftist Democrat and you want to talk about that on our platform, we will push you the same way that we'll push anybody else. But the problem is it doesn't exist here. And I think it doesn't exist here maybe because the left feels like the right has already claimed this territory. Maybe I don't know what it is. Like Rumble is legitimately pushing free speech on all sides and is encouraging on all sides. But for whatever reason, free speech has been branded as racism. And so like, I don't understand that. Someone help me understand that.
Well, the left doesn't believe in free speech. Like
not at all.
They want the ability to call us racist because from their perception, their worldview, what they're doing is morally correct. It's not about free speech. It's just the moral thing to do to call you a racist because of how you vote. So the thing is they perceive free speech to be something, even though they're not explicitly saying it, they're articulating that free speech is something that's exclusive to being right wing, which is also part of the problem.
Yeah, it's constitutional. It's bipartisan. Like
Yeah.
It's then that's I think that's so hard to freaking, for me personally as a content creator, I have, and personally just as a man in my own journey and stuff, I have such a hard time like loving and praying for those people a lot of times because, you have like the whole thing with like Charlie Kirk that happened, right? I mean, I know you went live like right as that whole thing happened, Gothix, and I will tell you that it was such a relief to be able to come in and just freaking hang out and just kind of process that whole thing. I mean, how do you talk to people that legitimately want that for other people? It's so, in my opinion, like demonic that you just, you don't see the other side as a human. You just see them as a complete enemy that you're going to wipe out of existence. It's crazy.
Yeah. Like, sorry, what was the question? Like, how do you kind of process all that? Because I'm sure that you still have, because especially since you work with like, say, like Walk Away, and you guys go to where a lot of these people are. Yeah.
How do you kind of, like talk to these people? Has it been, difficult? I mean, kind of walk through the process of how do you do that?
Yeah, I just have to keep putting myself in their shoes because I was a leftist before. I did say some foul things. Granted, I wasn't as crazy as a lot of these people, but I did share. There were a lot of similarities in the way that we think. So I have to remind myself to give these people some grace and pray for them when I can, even though I know it is difficult. These people act so foul. Like, I get it. It's difficult. But I have to remind myself of like what the end goal is. I've already told my audience in one of the videos that I did, I said there is no unifying with left and right. If it's just politics, there has to be something that's bigger than politics, which I believe is Christ, that's going to unite us.
There's no purple.
There's exactly. So, I just have to remember the goal and just give them grace and don't fight fire with fire. And just remember, it's not your job to change everyone's mind. Some people have hardened hearts and that's the way that it is. And you just got to give them space to process that or give them space to hit rock bottom. And then that's usually when they start looking for, okay, what's the meaning of all this? Which is exactly what happened to me.
Yep.
Yeah, and I think it takes us all. I think we all kind of have those rock bottom moments, and then kind of what do we do from there? Now, with your creation journey and stuff, I mean, you do gaming streams occasionally, still, right? Because I know you still like playing like horror games and all that other kind of stuff, which I do too as well. Doesn't make me a bad person, everybody, just because I'm also a Christian. I like them. There's some that I won't play. I think they take it a little too far, but. I think that's just basically based on.
I don't have a moral objection to them. I just don't get scared easy. So
I don't get scared at all.
So I get bored. Like, I'm like,
well, dude, you're like 6'8", bro. You're like a gigantic among men. Okay.
It is.
So of course you don't get scared. You just see.
Or as my kids would say, I'm 6'7".
Oh no.
Yeah. I got teenagers. My daughter's 16. My son's gonna be 13 in a month. Oh my God. I have 2 teenagers next month. Jesus, God, help me.
Good luck, dude. Good luck. Hopefully he's not a giant like his dad, but who knows?
Brother, that kid in the last 3 weeks just went through a growth spurt. And it's so funny. Like, this is totally off topic, but like Landon is like a puppy. He'll get chubby before, like right before he like grows, like, and you'll start to see it like in his face and even his hands. And then he'll wake up one day and it's like he just got stretched out and he's like skinny and much taller. And so he told me the day, he said, I think I'm taller than Bella now. I think I'm taller than my sister now. So,
well, dude, maybe that's what I'm waiting for. Cause I'm still kind of
chubby.
I'm kind of waiting to be stretched out.
That's funny.
Yeah. Now, how has on the other side of this too, as well, because you're also married. How has your husband, I think you guys were dating at the time, you kind of went through all this whole thing and the change.
Yeah.
How did that kind of, like, did it help you? Was it difficult for you guys? I mean, I'm sure that him as a husband, especially as me as a husband, like, I want to protect my wife, even when she's my girlfriend too. Like, I want to protect her, like, at all costs. Difficult for him to kind of see you go through that whole transition?
Oh yeah, it was so difficult for him, but he is my rock. If he wasn't there, I don't know what I would have done. He definitely helped me. He at one point there was a period when I had my initial cancellation with my Twitch community where I just kept upsetting people. Like every week I would get an email from someone that used to follow me or used to know me saying, "We can't be friends. I can't support you anymore." And it would
some email
every single time I'd get all these
disappointments. I unfriend you. That's not how this works. Like,
at some point my husband pulled me aside. He was just like, "Listen, it's going to keep happening. It will keep happening. So let's just accept it." And if he didn't say that, like I said, I don't know where I would have been or how I would have processed that, but he definitely helped, get me out of the pit and helped me get back online. He gave me a lot of that courage. He was so supportive. Because that's one of the situations I've always said, like, if you're a content creator, expect to get canceled at some point, but it's not like you don't know really what to do during those circumstances, and I didn't know. I'm like, what do I do? So
what do I do?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So, I mean, and I want to show people this real quick. If you don't mind, this is actually from your X page. This is, if you guys have not heard of her documentary, which kind of, takes you through the whole entire process of where she is to now. Here is a quick trailer. I'm going to try my best here, you guys. I'm still learning how to do Eevee Muck. So you guys,
seems like it worked to me.
Yes, I know. Now, which video is it? I think I got which one. Okay. I think it's this one. Right. Yeah.
There is no redemption. There is no conversation. It is whatever we say about you is truth and you're done.
One friend did it with us. He heard our side of the story and he was just like, "Oh, wow, this is completely understandable. I see where you guys are coming from." Then he writes us later on, "We weren't the right type of black friend."
Breaks on that for a while. I don't know how much out of this time I need that I'm at right now. I need to clear my head. I haven't been feeling myself. I think it's time for me to take a break. Like, I just feel like I'm kind of floating without any purpose right now.
They brought up my boyfriend. They wanted to know if he was white, because if he was, that would have made sense to them of why I was acting like this.
Seeing people automatically say, okay, the reason you have a problem with this is because you're racist is an issue for me. I said, we need to stop doing this. I'm talking in a matter of 24 hours, I became...
There it is.
Yeah, what, is it gone?
Over the course of 4 days, I had more racism towards me from other people that looked like me than in my entire existence on this planet. What's the next step once they realize I can't, attack someone on social media and make them disappear? So what do we got to do now? Is physical assault okay?
And I just see like these pools of blood, and I'm like, okay, I'm panicking now.
Yeah, and so that is her documentary, and I would encourage you guys to go and check it out. Right, where is it available at right now, Gothix?
Yeah, it's available on lore.tv. You could also watch it on Amazon Prime Video.
Yeah, and so make sure you guys go and check it out. I'm going to sit down with my wife because I was telling my wife about kind of your journey and your story. So I'm hoping that this weekend I can sit down and basically rent it and show it to her.
Yeah.
Because it's interesting, even as you watch kind of that trailer, you can kind of see at that time as you're kind of going through it, like the struggles you were having as a content creator and just as a human. I think a lot of times we forget that there's a human on the other side of the screen. It's just kind of crazy. So she went from that, you guys, to where now she's also on, and I always forget the gentleman's name. Is it Jesse Duplantis? Is that what his name is?
Oh, I know Jesse Duplantis.
I think it's just, no, maybe it's not Jesse Duplantis, but you'll see who I'm talking about. I always forget. I enjoy his commentary because he makes leftists look totally stupid.
Oh, Jesse Lee Peterson?
Lee Peterson.
I was like, dang, Jesse Duplantis, brother.
Yes.
I was like, I know Duplantis. Like I used to once upon a time.
Yeah, I know. I see. I was going, the wrong way there with my mental.
I was like, where are we going with this? I did not have Jesse Duplantis on my bingo card for today's show at all.
Yeah, and I think that really, you kind of sum it up, I think, a lot. And for all of us as content creators, the best thing you can do is be true to yourself. Like, Gothix has been saying, like Ray's been saying, go out and make what makes you happy. And you'll find an audience, I think.
How would you encourage people to speak up, those who are afraid to, because they don't want to be censored, threatened, or called names, or all that stuff you have to go through? What is the first step to start speaking up?
The first step is understanding that things are going to get worse before it gets better. And it's better to speak up now to build up momentum with other people, because I believe there's strength in numbers. And the only reason I think people got to the point where they felt comfortable to harass and slander people because of different opinions or whatever, I think it's because they hadn't been corrected for as long as they had. You got to speak up eventually, because when there's no one left to, if I get deplatformed and you get deplatformed, then they're going to be left. And at that point, it's too late.
And I noticed that most of the time, what people seem to be afraid of is when they do speak up, they have to stand alone. Because, as you said, all your friends turn against you, the people you thought you knew. And so the person that's speaking up tend to be left alone. And most people cannot stand alone.
I wouldn't be afraid of that. I wouldn't be worried about that, because I definitely had that moment where I was trying to convince myself to start speaking up and start making videos. And when I decided to do it, that's when I saw, I quadrupled the amount of followers I had on Twitch. I had that on YouTube now. And it's not about numbers, but the point being is that people are desperate for rational thinking.
Yeah.
I think it's very easy for you to feel like you're alone.
Yeah.
And you're not.
I think that's very, 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 very important. Yeah. I am seeing the things that God is doing in your life, and I know I kind of talk about it, and I know, we're tools of the trade, and if you're a content creator, all that other kind of stuff, what do you kind of use? But I mean, I think it's very important. There's always a time and a place in our life, and especially as streamers, where we have to kind of come to grips with who we are as a person. And when we make content, what do we make content for? Why do we make the content that we make? What is your future look like as a content creator? Are you still going to kind of continue in the path? Or are you thinking about maybe doing something a little bit differently? I mean, are you becoming a super big star now because you have your own documentary and stuff like that?
No. I definitely go through seasons, I think when I first got red pilled and first got saved, it was like I was traveling a lot and just like go. And now it's definitely quieted down, and I've sort of got into this repetition of, now I'm sort of saying the same things over and over and over and over and over again. And like I said, I think the solution to all of these things is the gospel. Unfortunately, a lot of my audience, they're not there yet. And they still perceive like the religion conversation as like irrelevant to politics and the world. It's like, no, it's the whole point. Like it's the exact point. So every now and then I try to like still ease into that conversation, and my audience is becoming a little bit more receptive. They're still not there yet. So in the meantime, I'm thinking of, okay, what else can I do to make content that I actually really am passionate about without feeling like I'm just chasing my tail. And as I said, I started getting into firearms. So I think for me, the next step is I'm trying to train to be an instructor, and I want to start making videos about stuff like that.
That's super fun.
Yeah. So, but that's where I am right now, just doing stuff that I love doing.
So you got games, you got pew-pews, you got comments. Like, are you, I don't like boxes, so let me get boxing. Does Gothix look at herself as a political creator? Like, how do you see yourself? And the reason I'm asking this question again is like, for the viewers, for the creators that are watching this, a lot of them are struggling to find their identity as a creator. Like, am I a Call of Duty creator? Am I a horror game creator? Am I a gaming creator? Am I a commentary? Like, who am I? So, did you ever define that, or?
No. I mean, it's weird. Like, I go back and forth. Up until recently, my bio on YouTube was I do things, and it was that way for like 4 years, because I'm like, I don't know what the heck I'm doing. So, but sometimes I'll say I'm a social commentator, which is kind of open-ended. It could be anything. It's like very ambiguous. But I'm also a creative, you know, and I think maybe just sticking with creative is because you are creating something, and you are creative in doing that thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't really have an exact label, and I think I like it that way because I don't want to box myself in.
Yeah. Now, how do you deal with like mental loads and stuff like that? Do you take a lot of breaks? Do you do like traveling? Like, what are some of the things that you do to try to basically, I don't know, de-stress? Or I don't know. There's always, for me, like whenever I get done streaming, it's like I got to sit down and just kind of like, for a couple of minutes. You know what I mean? To kind of flush everything out. Yeah,
it's weird because there's some days I don't feel like making content, but then I'll something tells me to stream instead. Like, and for some reason, the streaming can sometimes be a de-stressor for me, which is interesting. But I think it's because I'm conversating with people. Because also being a content creator can be very alienating as well because you're talking to a screen. You know, you're not actually interacting with people. So for me, it's just listening to what's going on internally. If I'm just feeling like just exhausted, I'm not going to force myself to make content just for the sake of checking in. I'm going to just do what feels right for me because, like I said, I think my audience can tell in general, like if you're not into it, they're not into it. Yeah. So that's what I do is I'm just in tune with what's going on everywhere before I hit that live button.
That's awesome. Now we are coming up, as Ray was letting me know, we are coming up on the hour, and I appreciate that, Ray, because sometimes I get a little sidetracked. I do. I can't help it.
The producer in me, man. I can't stop. Like,
yeah, I know. But Gothix, really do appreciate you, coming on and spending the hour and stuff with us. I mean, there is a whole host of other things I could totally pick your brain about and talk to you about. Especially from apologetics and stuff like that. I love that you're doing that.
Yeah, that's another hobby of mine.
Yes, apologetics is such a great topic. When you go into like, study of Christology, you go into say like textual criticism too as well, the evidence for the Gospels, all that stuff. And I just really want to give you, props and just, I think you're doing a fantastic job when you sit down and talk to people, and it just kind of shines through in what you do with your community and also with your content. Ray, do you got any last minute like words or questions or anything you want to kind of get out there?
No, I mean, I think this is great. I mean, I spent some time last night, and unfortunately, like I don't want to lie, like I was introduced to you because of the show this week. But
shame on you.
It is shame on me. I know it's terrible, but at least I'm not gonna sit here and lie and be like, "Oh man, I've been with you since 2019." Like I was there.
I appreciate your transparency.
Yeah, I was there when you got canceled, and I defend no. But I will say, like, even in just like who was a Biscuit that said earlier, I never say people's names right. It is so engaging immediately, and the content comes across. Even as polished as your content is, it doesn't come across as sterile. It comes across as a very organic and relatable thing. And I think that's a lot of success. A lot of creators, I think we fight this, I need to look like I'm in $1 million studio. Like I'm in my living room. Who cares? Like, you know what I mean? Like it is what it is. And you've got some great sets that I've seen you do stuff on. I've seen you in places similar to what you are, like your gaming office, like whatever you call those things. And so I just really appreciate the truth that you communicate. Like as like first introduction to Gothix, the truth is what it is. And I couldn't be more happy to maybe tell you, maybe you're a truth teller.
I like to think that.
Yeah.
I don't like lies. So
yeah.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah. So if you want to go ahead, tell everybody, where they can find you, what you're doing. Cause it is crazy. The one thing that I did not talk about that I wanted to ask was how you got into Women for Gun Rights. Cause you're the state director for that out there in Rhode Island. So
yeah. So you want me to answer that quick? You want me to leave this next time?
Yeah, please do.
Pew questions. So
so pew questions. Literally, so like I said, I'm very new to firearms. Got my first handgun like maybe 2 years ago, and I was making a lot of friends with local instructors. And then one day the instructor was like, "Hey, they're trying to pass an assault weapons ban, and they're having a public testimony. Do you think you can show up?" And I'm like, "Sure. I've never done it before." So I went to the state house and I in my clever way, basically called these legislators racist. And that video went beyond viral. And so Diana Muller, the founder of Women for Gun Rights, reached out to me. She's like, we don't have a state director for Rhode Island. Would you like to do it? And I'm like, sure. But I was very transparent. Like, as far as like laws and legislation, like I don't follow up with that stuff, even in just politics in general. I'm very topical. Like I look at the cultural aspect more so than what laws are being passed. And she was like, as long as you have a love for the Second Amendment and the right for women to defend themselves, that's it. That's all we need. And I'm like, all right, sign me up. Let's go.
Yeah.
So that's pretty much it.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Did you ever, in your wildest dream, did you ever think that you'd ever do something like that?
No. And honestly, I was contemplating, like, is this really for me? But like I said, I like to go with the flow. And if new things, even if they're foreign, are presented to me, I like to take the chance because I don't know, maybe that's the new path for me. I don't know where that's going to take me. And I've been doing the type of content I've been doing for so long. It's like, it's time for something new. Let's just try this out.
That's awesome. That's awesome. All right. Well, yeah, please do us a favor and tell everybody about yourself, where to find you, your socials.
Yeah. Well, thank you guys so much for having me. You can find me on Instagram, YouTube, and Rumble, and Twitter, and everywhere. just look up Gothix. I think it's Gothix on Rumble, but everywhere else it's Gothix TV. And like I mentioned, you can watch my documentary on Amazon Prime Video as well as Lore TV. And that's about it. That's all I got.
Well, Gothix, we appreciate you being here. We appreciate your time. It's been a blast to get to meet you. I'm stoked to go follow all those channels and interact and like, I don't know, like maybe we'll play some games sometime.
Yeah, that'd be fun.
I know. Well, we can go through a horror game and I can get all scared and panic, panic. You guys can just be like, just suck it up.
That would actually entertain me. Watching you get scared would be the first thing in a horror game that's ever entertained me.
Dude, it happens. It happens. Not often, but it happens every once in a while.
I want to see Vape jump scare.
Yeah, I want to see that.
It happens, dude. But beer goes like this and everything. It's crazy. It's kind of crazy. But anyway, all right, you guys have a fantastic Saturday. Thank you guys for joining us. And we'll see you guys again next time. All right. Bye, everybody.